Imagine a world where a small island nation ruled over a quarter of the globe. This was the British Empire. The sun never set on its territory, stretching from Canada to India, Australia to Africa. The Union Jack flew over countless cultures and peoples, all governed from London. This empire was built over centuries, through exploration, trade, conflict, and conquest. The Royal Navy's might, red-coated soldiers, and ambitious administrators bound the empire together. Railways and telegraphs shrank distances, fueling British confidence and a belief in their destiny to rule. The world map was painted pink, marking British possessions. Britain's economic power was unmatched. Raw materials flowed in, manufactured goods flowed out, and London was the world's financial capital. The pound sterling was the global currency. Decisions in London changed lives worldwide. This reach brought immense wealth to Britain, but also profound changes, sometimes for better, often for worse. Technological advances like steamships and railways helped control this sprawling domain. But how did a small island come to dominate so much of the planet? The story is one of courage and cruelty, progress and oppression. To understand the British Empire, we must go back to when Britain was a patchwork of warring kingdoms. These islands were once vulnerable to invaders. The seeds of empire were sown in the struggle for survival. The journey from fragmented kingdoms to global power began with unity. The rise of England was the first step on this long road. Let's see how it all began. Before empire, Britain was a land of chaos, Anglo-Saxon kingdoms fighting for survival. There was no England, only Wessex, Mercia, Northumbria, and others. Life was harsh, and Viking raiders from Scandinavia brought terror and destruction. The Vikings seemed unstoppable, but Wessex, led by Alfred the Great, resisted. Alfred was more than a warrior, he was a scholar and visionary. He united the English, reorganized the army, built fortified towns, and even started a navy. His victories saved Wessex and laid the foundation for a unified England. Alfred promoted learning, the English language, and a system of laws. His successors pushed back the Vikings and united the Anglo-Saxon kingdoms. By the mid-10th century, England was a single kingdom, a vital step toward future power. This unity created a stronger, more centralized state, ready to look beyond its borders. The experience of fighting invaders forged a resilient people and a tradition of strong leadership. Basic government structures were in place, the building blocks of empire. Without a unified England, there could have been no British Empire. The struggles of Alfred and his descendants were the first steps on a path to global influence. The idea of England as a single, powerful entity was born. Now, with unity achieved, England's ambitions would soon turn outward. The stage was set for expansion. With England unified, its rulers looked outward. The Norman conquest in 1066 brought a new, expansionist aristocracy. Their first targets were close Ireland, Wales, and Scotland. In Ireland, Norman knights began centuries of conflict and colonization, creating deep divisions. Wales fell to Edward VI's military campaigns and imposing castles, becoming part of England. Scotland fiercely resisted with heroes like William Wallace and Robert the Bruce. The Battle of Bannockburn in 1314 was a legendary Scottish victory. Though England and Scotland united under one crown in 1603, Scotland kept its own laws and church. These early expansions set a precedent for looking beyond England's borders. The desire for land, resources, and strategic advantage shaped English ambitions. The British Isles became a testing ground for colonial rule. The lessons learned here would guide future imperial ventures. England was ready to join the age of global exploration. The Renaissance sparked a new age of exploration across Europe. Portugal and Spain led the way, but England soon joined the race for wealth and trade. John Cabot, sailing for England, reached North America in 1497, opening new opportunities. Under Queen Elizabeth I, English seafaring grew. Figures like Sir Francis Drake circumnavigated the globe and raided Spanish ships. Rivalry with Spain, the dominant global power, defined this era. The defeat of the Spanish Armada in 1588 proved England's naval strength. Trading companies emerged, most notably the East India Company, founded in 1600. These private enterprises, with their own ships and armies, established trading posts in distant lands. The East India Company soon turned its focus to India. Trading posts became the foundations of future colonies. England's global ambition was unleashed. Exploration, trade, and conflict drove the first steps toward empire. The groundwork for a worldwide British presence was laid. The age of global ambition had truly begun. England was ready to plant its flag overseas. In the late 1500s and early 1600s, England began founding permanent overseas colonies. The Roanoke colony vanished mysteriously, but Jamestown in Virginia, founded in 1607, survived, thanks to tobacco. Jamestown marked the start of a lasting English presence in North America. The Pilgrims landed at Plymouth in 1620, seeking religious freedom, and endured harsh beginnings. More English migrants followed, establishing distinct New England colonies. Meanwhile, the East India Company expanded in India, setting up fortified trading posts in key cities. These posts allowed trade in valuable goods like cotton and indigo. As Mughal power waned, the company gained political and military influence. Small coastal footholds became the seeds of British rule in India. Colonies and trading posts were the building blocks of empire. The British presence was spreading across continents. The 18th century saw dramatic imperial expansion, fueled by trade, war, and the slave economy. Britain fought global wars, especially with France, gaining territory in North America and India after the 7 Years' War. But the transatlantic slave trade was a dark reality. Millions of Africans were enslaved, enriching Britain at a terrible human cost. The American colonies rebelled, winning independence in 1783, a major shock to Britain. Rather than retreat, Britain shifted focus eastward, expanding in India and exploring the Pacific. Captain Cook claimed Australia and New Zealand. Penal colonies were established. The empire regrouped, seeking new avenues for growth, often repeating patterns of exploitation. The loss of America marked a turning point, but not the end of British ambitions. The empire adapted, growing even larger in Asia and the Pacific. The foundations for future expansion into Africa were laid. The British Empire was changing, but its appetite for power remained. The 19th century, especially under Queen Victoria, was the so-called Golden Age of the British Empire. The empire reached its greatest size, spanning continents and inspiring national pride. The Industrial Revolution made Britain the world's workshop, exporting goods across the globe. Steamships, railways, and the telegraph connected the empire like never before. Many Victorians believed in a civilizing mission, spreading British values and institutions. Missionaries and administrators reshaped societies, often at the expense of local cultures. But beneath the surface, resistance and unrest simmered. The Indian Mutiny of 1857 exposed deep anger and ended company rule in India. India came under direct crown control, raising questions about the morality of empire. The cost of maintaining such a vast domain was growing. Challenges and criticism were mounting, even at the height of British power. The empire's golden age was not without its shadows. The British Empire always faced resistance, especially in the late 19th and early 20th centuries. Colonized peoples were not passive. They fought for their cultures and freedom. Nationalism and self-determination spread, fueling independence movements. In India, the Indian National Congress and leaders like Gandhi pushed for self-rule. Ireland's struggle for home rule intensified, sometimes violently. The Boer Wars in South Africa exposed the brutality of imperial warfare and dented British prestige. Some white colonies gained self-government, becoming dominions. Limited reforms elsewhere failed to satisfy rising demands for independence. The cracks in the imperial facade were widening. The age of unquestioned empire was ending. 2 world wars in the 20th century shook the British Empire to its core. Colonies and dominions made huge sacrifices in World War I, raising expectations for greater rights. Nationalist movements gained momentum between the wars. India, Egypt, and Ireland demanded freedom. World War II exposed Britain's vulnerabilities and left it economically exhausted. The Atlantic Charter affirmed the right to self-government, fueling decolonization. After 1945, independence movements swept Asia, Africa, and the Caribbean. India and Pakistan gained independence in 1947, marking the beginning of the end. Most colonies gained freedom peacefully, though some transitions were violent. The 1960 Wind of Change speech acknowledged African independence. The final act came in 1997 with the handover of Hong Kong. The once mighty British Empire had unraveled. A new world order had emerged. The age of empire was over. The British Empire's legacy is complex, shaping the world in ways both positive and negative. English became a global language parliamentary democracy, and common law spread to many nations. Colonial infrastructure still stands but often served imperial interests. Arbitrary borders drawn by colonial powers have caused lasting conflict. Economic exploitation and cultural imposition left deep scars. The legacy of racism and inequality persists. The empire's story is one of power, ambition, oppression, and resistance. Debates over its impact continue. Was it a force for good or ill? Understanding this past is crucial for understanding today's world. As we reflect, the most important question is, what lessons can we draw for our shared future?